Having one of those days today. What's up? That's the whenever you feel like showing up part of what Kermit says at the beginning of the show every day. That's what it's there for. It's for the nothing is working, but we're going to do the show anyway situation. And the Brad does the show by himself part. Is this working? Can we test that? No, got to turn that off. Can't test this without this being on. What a nightmare it was just to say hello to you today. Brighten this mood. Look at that. Whoa. Nah. This. Too red. That one. All right. I'm very uncomfortable to start the show. I thought, so yesterday, here's what happens. And I explained this a little bit yesterday, but I'm going to do it again because today the show didn't start until 25 after 10, when the plan is to start it at 10. I did the show from a hotel room a couple days ago, which meant taking all the equipment and then coming back and setting it back up. And while I would say my area of expertise is talking into microphones, I dabble in setting up audio equipment and trying to make it work. But when it's time to be on and it doesn't work and I'm the person in charge of it, there's nobody to call. And there's no way to put up a thing that says, say, sorry, we're having some trouble. I'll be right there. Because I'm not online. So if I'm not online, what can I do? Nothing. So then I just sweat for half an hour plugging things in and unplugging things and moving things around. I had to do this yesterday, and I had a setup that I didn't love. Like you may notice, I have a headset with a microphone that I like to wear, and that frees up my hands. Makes me not feel like I have to lean into a microphone, which is over here right now. And I probably don't. I probably could just talk like this, and you'll hear me just fine. Like, this is probably fine. But it's also in my way here. I have to reach over to get my... It's no good. It's no good. So after the show was done, and I didn't have to perform anymore, I was able to take it all apart and put it back together the right way, and it seemed like it was great. But I think there was an software update thing that happened, either to one of the apps or just to the computer itself. For sure that happened. The thing where you go to use your computer, it's like, sure about that? Why don't you try this? Why don't you sit there for 14 minutes while we load a bunch of new stuff in? Windows needs to update. So there was that. And something in the settings got messed up, and I'll be damned if I could find it as I'm trying to get on the air. So I had to take this back. Sorry. After the show yesterday, I went back to my regular setup. I got my headset thing. Everything was working. Everything was fine. Until I tried to start the show today, and then it didn't work. So then I was working on fixing that, trying all sorts of different things, and eventually just landed on, all right, well, we'll set it up like yesterday. And then that didn't work. So here we are. It's Friday. I'm glad it's Friday because I'm a little burnt out on everything. It doesn't help watching the Bills lose on Sunday and then watching the Bulls lose on Wednesday and then watching the Patriots win last night. It doesn't help a person's mood in Western New York. That person being me. So, yeah, the Patriots look good. I mean, they played the Jets, and the Jets did compete. They were okay. There was a moment. Honestly, it was pretty similar to the Bulls game in that, okay, fine. Actually, it was really similar now that I think about it. Because the Bulls, despite the fact that they didn't play well, had an opportunity. Down 11 points, they took the ball away and had the ball at like the 10-yard line. I should look it up if it's the 10, 9, 11, whatever. It's right there. And then on the first play, fumble, 85-yard touchdown going the other way. Game over, basically. Game over. And that's what happened to the Jets yesterday. They were within range. I think they might have been down 10 and had the ball deep in the Patriots' territory. And then turnover goes back the other way for no, it didn't go anywhere. But turnover at like the 11-yard line. And now the Patriots have the ball up 10. And if they can do anything at all, they're going to put this thing away. And they did. They've got a coach. They've got a quarterback. They looked great last night in their uniforms. Those looked awesome. I've never seen those before. If that's their answer to like our snow, whatever that blizzard horrible white thing is that the Bills are wearing, the Patriots deserve to win the East based on that uniform decision alone. Just a common sense approach to looking good on a football field. I hate that stupid Bills uniform with the silver. Horrible. And then turn on the Patriots game like, oh, that's a shade of blue I've never seen on a football team. Maybe Ole Miss, kind of like an Ole Miss type of blue. But they looked great from a jersey standpoint. And then they also look very good, and they have a real quarterback. That guy's legit. I might be more impressed with him than Dart. I don't like the MVP chance. I don't like the MVP discussion. They showed him as like the favorite to be the MVP. They're showing the Patriots as like a 71% chance of winning the division. I don't buy any of that. I know they've got 9 wins. They're going to go to the playoffs, that's for sure. And their schedule looks pretty easy, and maybe they do just cruise to the East. And maybe they end up in the 1 seed. But I will say this. I started thinking about playoffs against the Patriots because I have had in my head it's all going to be fine. They'll fade a little bit. I don't think they're going away. I think they're a good team. But the fact that we're looking at the standings, the Bills are 2.5 games behind. It's like, no, they've played 2 more games than the Bills right now. And they're going to play each other still. And the Patriots are going to have a bye. And the Bills are going to play on Sunday. And yeah, there are things to fix, but the Patriots are the least of my concerns. I think there's a decent chance that all works itself out. I liked Al Michaels last night kind of making fun of the AWS stats to the point where Herb Street, I only watched, I don't know, I probably turned it on mid-third quarter and watched from there on out. But there was a moment where Herb Street read a stat saying, there's only a 31% chance of this happening. And Al's like, well, what if the temperature changes by 1 degree? Then how does it affect it? Basically saying these numbers are garbage and we're pushing them off as if they're factual. And I think this is a major problem, not just in sports, but in life, that we are treating estimations as if they're facts. The win probability, all that stuff isn't real. It's not real. At that moment, when the Bills trailed the Ravens by 15 points with 6 minutes left, they had a 1% chance of winning. No. Show me the math. Show me your work, please. When I was a kid and we had math tests and you had to show your work, I remember thinking, that's stupid. Because if I get to the right answer, what do you care? Teacher, you know the right answer, right? It's a math problem. You know the answer. If I get to the right answer, I get that you're trying to make sure I'm not using a calculator or, in this era, a phone or a computer or AI or whatever. I get that. So you wanted me to show you the work so that you saw that I actually did the work. I want AWS to start showing its work so that we can stop believing these numbers. And I love that Al Michaels did that. And Herb Street's reply was, I don't know, man. I just read it. Right. It's not like he believed it. We're forcing these numbers. And this is, AWS is Amazon, right? We're allowing these massive companies to take control of our lives anyway, right? With our phones, with just opting into cookies and things that are tracing, following us with GPS. And like, my phone knows everywhere I've been for the past, 10 years, 15 years. And therefore, so does whoever wants to know. Like, it's a problem. It's a problem that we're turning over all this information. But to me, I don't know if it's a bigger problem, but a more annoying problem to me. Like, I don't care. Follow me. I don't go anywhere. I'm here that I'm in Lansing, that I'm here that I'm in Bowling Green. Then once in a while I get to go to the Bahamas. Sometimes I go to my parents' house. Usually I'm at a baseball game. Sometimes basketball, and sometimes flag football. And sometimes I'm at a concert. And sometimes I go see a comedian. And I don't care if Google knows that, and if Samsung knows that, and if Apple knows that, and if Amazon knows. It doesn't bother me. It does bother me that they're making up numbers. You cannot tell me it is not possible if you show your work. Show me the math that leads you to, oh, he only had a 12% chance of catching that football. What does that mean? Nothing. You can't put math on it. You can't put numbers on that. Maybe I could have a genius on to explain it to me, and then it would make sense, but I don't think so. I don't think there's a mathematical equation that tells me what the chances are that the Jets come back and win a game against the Patriots. Not possible. And this goes back to, I'm fired up today, I'm sorry. 5 years ago, 8 years ago, when was it that, I'm going to use Mike Shope as the example. This is no knock on Mike, because I think like the overall concept is true. He wanted people to stop punting, or almost completely stop punting. Give yourself a fourth play instead of 3. You have a much better chance of making a first down if you get 4 cracks at it than 3. That makes sense. There's math there. But once we got into, well, analytics tell me that it's time, and this is not Mike specifically, but Mike's been the anti-punt guy, and then it turned into a thing where, they were wrong to punt because the numbers say you have to go for it there. It's like the numbers don't tell me who the players are on the field or the conditions or the mentality or the mindset or how the defensive tackle's leg is feeling right now or if the ball is slippery or if it's cold or if one team's really good and one team's really bad. It doesn't tell me any of that. You're telling me over a lifetime of football plays, and I'm sure it's not a lifetime. It's since we started doing this in 2006 or something. Those are the numbers you're using to calculate the likelihood somebody's going to pick up a fourth down or pick up a first down on fourth down. You know what I mean? There's no chance that the numbers are accurate, that they accurately reflect the current situation. But we still pretend they do. And once we allowed the world to pretend that those numbers meant something, then it turned into a world where a ball is thrown down at the back of the end zone in the corner, and a guy goes up and makes the catch, and immediately there's a statistic. A statistic. Fake numbers are masquerading as statistics, is my point. But there's immediately a statistic that says he only had a 2.4% chance of making that catch. Based on what, you liar? Show your work. Show me your work. And I love that there was at least a little pushback from, he's super old school, Al Michaels, who's got to be, pushing 80. And he's like, what are you talking about, Kirk? I know football. You know football. We do broadcasts. That number can't possibly be a real number, but we just accept it. I'm asking you as a human being to start rejecting these fake numbers that have become a part of story. The numbers tell whatever story we'd like to tell. They're not real numbers. How do you get to that? How do you get to the Jets only have a 17% chance of coming back in this game? What are the factors? What are the numbers that you can plug in that apply to this situation? You can tell me that teams that trail by this much at this point in a game have come back this percentage of times. You can tell me that. That's fine. That does not mean you can tell me the Jets have that percentage of chance of coming back. And I really wish people would recognize that. I remember when the analytics debate kind of started kicking in, I remember hating almost everybody and liking Matthew Collar. Matt Collar was working at GR at the time. He's now in Minnesota. And he's a Vikings, almost like an independent Vikings reporter guy. And he's awesome. But he always had the context of the numbers. Like, this is what the numbers say, and this is what they could mean. But he never was the full-on, like, those are the numbers, and that defines everything I believe. He was cool. He's the only person I could talk to about analytics. Because, of course, you want the most data possible. Of course, you want every piece of information you can have to inform a decision that you're going to make. But you still have to make a decision based on common sense. And even with those numbers, if you have perfect data and perfect research, You still have to figure out, how does this apply to my situation? And the way that it's being thrown around in football games on television is absurd. It's crazy that we're just accepting it. And we've all become almost numb to the fact that they're just going to throw a number up there and tell you, like, that's the fastest a player has run all year. That one maybe I buy, but miles per hour on wide receivers and running backs is not a number that I need. It doesn't help me with anything. That one at least is fun. It doesn't attempt to be predictive. I guess that's kind of what I'm saying. You can tell me everything that happened over the course of Buffalo's weather on November 14th at 10:42 a.m. You can tell me exactly everything, if you somehow have that, every data point ever on Buffalo's weather. It still doesn't tell me what the weather's going to be. If it has rained 18% of the time at 10:42 on November 14th in Buffalo, New York, and even that, is it in Buffalo? Is it at the airport? Is it at my house? Is it in my yard? Is it at the baseball diamond where I'm trying to play? I know it's November. We're not playing baseball outdoors right now, but you get the point. All right, you know exactly what has happened, what percentage of time it has rained, even if you can calculate that number. And I'm sure you can. Not infinitely, because the data doesn't exist from the 1800s. But even if you can go back to 1980, tell me the percentage of times it rained at that minute, 10:42 on November 14th, in a specific spot. Let's say there's one beaker that collects precipitation at the airport. We're using only that. You can tell me the percentage of times that it rained into that thing at this exact moment, on this exact day, at that exact spot, that beaker. You tell me that 18% of the time, rain hits that beaker during that minute. It still doesn't mean there's an 18% chance of it raining into that thing that day. You're telling me how often it's happened. That does not predict what's going to happen. Does it give you a hint? Yeah, it does. But can you directly apply that number? No, you can't. And I wish that there were more people fighting against this nonsense that has crept into games. Yeah, part of it is that I don't like the numbers I'm seeing about the Patriots' chances of winning the division, getting the 1 seed, making the playoffs. But also, you can't say a team is 2.5 games behind somebody or a game and a half behind somebody when in football they're all going to play 17. The Bills and Patriots are going to play each other. And the Patriots have currently played 2 more games than the Bills have. None of the math works. None of it. When they've played an even number of games, you can just do basic calculations, and that would be actual math. But show me your work. Show me the formula. What is the formula that says the Patriots have a 71% chance? There's no chance that it holds up. None. And we have become a society that trusts these numbers that mean nothing. Nothing. So I don't know. I'm a Bills fan. I like Josh Allen. I'm impressed by Drake May. They can chant MVP all they want inside the stadium after the game. He might win it. But, I mean, it's a fun story. Not for Bills fans, but like in general, this Patriots team that was so great for so long, and then they lost their quarterback and they stopped being great. And then they lost their head coach. They really stopped being great. And then they got another coach and another quarterback, and they're 9-2. After starting 1-2, they won 7 in a row. It's a good story. And, you know, maybe he is the MVP. Maybe, I think Vrabel's the coach of the year, right? I mean, if we were to do it right now. So, yeah, they're a problem from a Buffalo perspective. But, damn, I cannot take these numbers being spoken as facts when they're not facts. What's it like to not have this thing in your head that I have in my head that just goes crazy when people are saying things that aren't true? And then people are accepting the things that aren't true. What is that? How's that? That's got to be way more comfortable, way more peaceful to walk around life accepting the garbage that comes out of people's mouth that they purport to be true, and then other people accept it. Oh, okay, that's it, 71%. I saw that. They only had a 9% chance of winning that game when they were down 4 with a minute and a half left. They didn't have the ball. Yeah, okay, sure. False. Not true. Can't be. Can't possibly be true. Can't possibly get to those numbers. There's no formula that exists. So I would like to look, under the hood of AWS numbers that are making asinine predictions based on data that can't possibly be predictive. Show me your work. Anyone. At any point. Is anyone calling BS on this stuff other than me, or we're just accepting it now? We let it slide on the 4th and 1 stuff. You got to go for it. No, you don't. It's probably better. Are you good at picking up 4th downs? That's a part of it. Even the statistics. Even the statistics that tell you exactly what has happened. This percentage of teams have succeeded on 4th and 1 at their own 40-yard line. Even if you have stats going back to the beginning of time on that. Oh, your success rate percentage is this or that. Still doesn't factor in that the only people we're counting in the data pool are the people who thought they could get it. If you don't think you can pick up 4th and 1, you punt. So everyone who didn't think they could pick up 4th and 1 punted. And everyone who did think they could pick it up, now we've got numbers for that. The people who thought they could pick it up converted it 70% of the time, let's say. Cool. What about the ones who didn't? Oh, they punted because they knew they were dead, because Aaron Donald was standing there, or Gilbert Brown was standing there, or Ted Washington was standing there like, I can't get this yard, so I'm going to punt. Those people aren't even factored into the numbers. So you're beautiful, perfect. You need to go for it on 4th and 1 numbers. This is crazy. I'm rewinding to 15 years ago. This was the argument I was trying to make 15 years ago. No one, I've never heard another person mention this, that those numbers were uber flawed. And once that happened, once that became pervasive in football, like, oh no, you got to do it. The numbers say you got to do it. Once we just accepted that the numbers say it, because they didn't, they never did. But once we accepted that, slippery slope to where Al Michaels has to call out Herb Street for AWS lying to us. They're just putting this stuff into our head like, no, we know everything. We got it all under control. We understand. No, you don't. No, you don't. Can you tell I'm frustrated today? There's a lot of things that are really driving me insane. Scott Wilson's going to join me just after 11, and maybe I'll cool off. I'll chill out. You ever see something happening? You're like, oh, I should have bet on that. Why would, and I don't even know if they allow this, but a parlay of, I don't know, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani will win AL and NL MVP. I don't know how well it would have paid, but it seems like if you did that a year ago, beginning of the baseball season, probably would have paid pretty well. It's a strong commitment. That's going to be the best player in that league. That's going to be the best player in that one. They had to both be the favorites going in, right? It's the 4th time Ohtani has been unanimous as MVP. NL this time, but there's some AL mixed in there too. This is a second NL plus 2 ALs plus a second place finish. In the last 5 years, I think he's got 4 unanimous wins and 1 second place finish. Something like that. Yeah, Ohtani's good. I was surprised he didn't win the World Series MVP. I get Yamamoto. I understand. And then, yeah, of course, Aaron Judge. So that just seems like I've got a friend who just every year will put together parlays that include Ohio State's going to win the national championship or Alabama's going to win the national championship. It's just the stuff that, when it happens, you're like, well, yeah, of course that happened. The Dodgers are going to win the World Series. Lately, it's been the Panthers for hockey. Basketball's kind of bounced around a little bit, but there are some just very no kidding type of things. Like, if I was in a coma for for the last 6 months. I woke up today and you told me that the AL and NL MVPs had been awarded, and I had to take a guess. What would I have guessed if I watched no baseball? What would you have guessed? I don't know. Judge? Yeah. I don't know. Ohtani? Yeah. Both of them. That was announced yesterday. The Epstein. At some point, I'm going to have to talk about the Epstein stuff. Because seems like it's about to go down. I'm just going to read I don't want to dig too far into it. Because it's gross. I'm comfortable with the sports stuff. Johnson shifts strategy on Epstein file votes as GOP leaders brace for mass defections. That's an interesting headline. This is CNN, but GOP leaders brace for mass defections. I mean, if you lined up everyone in the world and said, do you think those files should be released? Anyone who says no, pretty telling, right? Oh, it's a distraction. No. Please don't. I'm distracted. We'll all be distracted by that. And everybody else, yeah, I think we probably need to see this stuff. I think we're getting there. It seems like we're getting there. House Speaker Mike Johnson decided to quickly schedule a House vote on an effort to force the release of all the Epstein case files once the calculation was made that it couldn't be stopped. Quickly schedule a House vote to force release once the calculation was made it couldn't be stopped. The decision marked a shift in strategy for Johnson and the White House, who had long sought to delay the process. 3 sources told CNN. House GOP leaders are bracing for a significant number of Republicans to break from President Trump and support the bipartisan bill led by GOP Representative Thomas Massie and Democratic Representative Ro Khanna, calling for the Justice Department to release the Epstein files as supporters push for a veto-proof majority. Republican sources say there's a broad cross-section of the conference willing to support the plan, and it will be hard to limit defections. No point in waiting, one House GOP leadership source familiar with the strategy shift told CNN. A House GOP lawmaker said of the Speaker's decision, if you got to do it, might as well do it quickly. Okay. Massey told CNN on Wednesday that his hope is that a veto-proof majority will pressure the Senate to act over Trump's opposition. It would require 2/3 of the House, or 290 votes if all members are present, for a veto-proof majority. Quote from Massey, if we get less than 2/3 vote when it comes up for a vote, I think it's an uphill battle. But if we are somehow able to get 2/3 vote here in the House, that puts a lot of pressure on the Senate. And also, if the Senate does pass it, that's a very serious step for the president. A senior White House official told CNN Trump was made aware ahead of time that Johnson was going to expedite the vote and that the two had spoken about it. It was made clear to President Trump, and he understands that this is an inevitable reality, the official said. Okay. Sounds like we're getting somewhere here. Johnson sent the House of Representatives home for its August recess early, in part to avoid a vote related to the Epstein files. When the House returned in September, in September, yeah. Top congressional Republicans and White House allies were working behind the scenes to prevent the politically charged vote. There was even a last-ditch effort by the president and his allies on Wednesday to engage with 2 of the Republican women, helping the effort move forward before it was too late. But now GOP sources told CNN part of the calculation is that the momentum in the House is unstoppable, and the only course of action is to send it over to the Senate to deal with. Get it out of the House, another GOP lawmaker said in support of the strategy. Initially, Massey and Khanna were expecting it to be weeks before their bill would get a vote on the House floor. Even after the bipartisan duo secured the 218 signatures needed to move forward on Wednesday, there was still a procedural process that had to play out because the effort did not have the blessing of House Republican leadership to come to the floor sooner. So when Johnson said Wednesday that he was going to expedite the process and put the bill on the floor next week, many were surprised. He said Wednesday, we're going to put that on the floor for a full vote when we get back next week. In the meantime, I'll remind everybody the House Oversight Committee has been working around the clock on its own investigation. Johnson has previously called the effort a moot point, given the ongoing House Oversight Committee investigation, which has released thousands of documents, including from Epstein's estate. The new decision to move quickly with a floor vote came shortly after thousands of new Epstein emails were released by the panel on Wednesday, and top Trump administration officials met with GOP Representative Lauren Boebert, one of the few Republicans who signed on to the effort demanding DOJ release its trove of Epstein files. If you can't block the parade, you might as well get ahead of it, Khanna told CNN. If Massey and Khanna's bill clears the House, as it's now expected, its fate in the Senate remains uncertain. Majority Leader John Thune has previously told CNN he did not think the chamber needs to pass the legislation, citing the Justice Department's release of thousands of pages related to the case. I've not followed the story closely, just because I'm kind of waiting for some. What good is a partial release of anything? Like, let's just say I have a notebook and it's got some horrible secret on a page. And you're like, I need the notebook. I'm like, here, you can have these pages. Like, no, I need the whole thing. No, here, I'll give you some more pages. Here, you can have these pages too. Yeah, but could I have it all? No, not all. You can have the stuff that doesn't say anything. Would you accept that from me? You wouldn't accept that from me. I wouldn't accept that from you. You're cheating on a test, and you've got notes in a notebook, and the teacher. I know it's different. You cheat more high tech now, I think, right? You use phones and watches and earbuds and goggles or something. I don't know. Cheating's different now, but you get caught cheating on your Spanish test, and the teacher's like, "Give me that notebook you were just looking at." Like, hold on, I'll give you some of the notebook. No, I want the whole notebook. No, you can have most of it. You can have almost all of the notebook. There's some of the notebook it's, privacy. Some of it I just don't want you to have. That wouldn't be acceptable. That's what we've been doing for how long now? All right, it's good. It's going to get pretty interesting and super gross, I think. Super gross. Take a timeout. Scott Wilson's going to join me. That's what he does. This will be the third time this week we've had Scott. Fourth if you count the UB podcast. Lots of Scott. Show's better with Scott. It's episode 210. It's Writer Radio.
Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior football correspondent, Scott Wilson. Let's check in with Writer Radio's senior Hallmark correspondent, Scott Wilson.
Figured I'd better play both of those today, because there's like all this hoopla surrounding the Bills Hallmark movie, and if that comes up, I want you to remember that Scott's not just a football guy; he's a Hallmark guy, a big Hallmark guy. Our friend Scott Wilson, who joins us live on the line for the third time this week. A lot of Scott this week. A lot of Scott. How you doing, man?
Sorry, folks.
I like it. How you doing?
Good.
Sorry to continually bother you, but the show goes on, and you've got the same schedule I do, which is we were out of town for a while, so we hung out a lot this week, but we typically talk on Monday and Friday. If it so happens that we hang out on Tuesday and Wednesday into Thursday, it's just a lot of us being friends. Scott, I like it. Thanks.
Yeah. Well, I am disappointed. This is now the second trip that we've taken this year that did not have access to the Hallmark Channel. So
yeah, I know.
We were deprived a little bit of that. That was a potential for that Wednesday show was a little Hallmark action, and it never. We had to focus on football instead, and that the football part of it wasn't exactly great this week.
No, I didn't like it. I didn't like the football part at all. I hated it. I hated that game. That was terrible. That was a bad one. That was the worst one this year by a lot to me. And going in, it was all right. I mean, you don't have to win it. It's not must win, but man, does this shape the season and shape our attitudes going in. And now it's like, oh, are we a team that just fails down the stretch and turns the ball over constantly, and now the quarterback's hurt, and now you got to play the two best teams on your schedule? Like, ugh, it's gross. I mean, they're still right in the thick of it, and it still can be fine if they focus and go out there and attack over the course of the next 2 weeks. It's still right there, but man, what a letdown.
Yeah, that was, and the thing is, even with all the problems, all the turnovers, all the mistakes in that game, it was still a very winnable game. That's the frustrating part of what happened. I mean, they turn over the ball. They put the ball in harm's way so much that the TV crew had the wrong number of turnovers.
Yeah, and then we went with it, and then
and we were like, yeah, all right, maybe that's probably right.
Yeah, we're on the bus after the game counting, like, is it 8 or 9 times they put it, like, it was the TV crew had it as 6, but we think it was really 5, but there were also 3 almost, like 2 that got overturned, and one that I can't believe, the punt that was muffed by Victor Snow that went through literally 4, like the wickets of 4 Central Michigan Chippewas and somehow wound up in the hands of a Bull. But yeah, I mean, it was just, there was zero ball protection. Like, protecting the ball is, I think, step one from any coach's standpoint. Like, what do we have to do today? Well, first we have to protect the ball, and this was the opposite of that. So everything you do on top of that, you've already undercut your ability to make it work if you've given the ball away somewhere between 5 and 9 times in a game. 9 times.
Yeah, it was unfortunately something that we had seen kind of before from the quarterback play, and it was the other MAC loss. It was against Akron, where 4 second half interceptions doomed a 1-possession game that, without those interceptions, is clearly a game that the Bulls were in a position to win. So this is another one, although Central, I think, vastly better than Akron.
Yeah.
But still not so much better than the Bulls that it should have been a margin of victory like it was. And yeah, you're right. Now Roberson, who, all right, has had some frustrating games, but has also had some really big games, is hurt. Don't know what his status is going to be. Is now, they're into the weekday games here, but now after that first one, you're just back into a regular week.
Right.
Once you go into the first weekday games, you get those extra 2 or 3 days of rest. That's fine. Now they're just on to regular weekday games and a regular game week. So not only do they have to worry about that, any other players that might be banged up, and you throw on top of it the fact that, like you said, the 2 best teams, or the 2 hardest teams that were on their schedule, are coming up here. And something that was told to us, and is something that should be at least noticed or concerned, is teams that play Central Michigan the next week usually don't win.
Yeah.
Now, some of that is scheduling, and some of that is kind of smoke and mirrors, depending on who they play. And some of those teams ended up playing the Bulls. So, yeah. UB's good too. So, I don't know how much exactly of that is as a result of them having to play a physical team like that. I don't foresee that being a problem here because they passed a lot.
That's
Central
true.
passed a lot.
They really went against tendencies. They were not, they didn't do what we thought they would do, and certainly didn't do what the Bulls thought they would do.
I think that's a credit to Joe Bowen, defensive coordinator, and the coaching staff over there, because teams are now approaching the Bulls saying, if we do what we always do, we know that they are going to be prepared and they are good enough to stop it. And Central tried to stick with their normal plan of attack for the most part there in the first quarter and a half, and couldn't do it. It was interception, punt, 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 punt. And, they eventually just said, listen, if we're going to try to do what we normally do, we are going to lose this game. And they just started passing on their own terms rather than when they had to. And because of how good they are in the running game and how many bodies you have to commit to it, that play action can be really deadly. If you don't get pressure in the quarterback and you have to commit so many bodies in the box to stop a running game, no matter what the quarterback is, and Labus, the Central quarterback, is okay. He missed a lot of throws in that game, I thought. But if you're throwing to wide open guys because you're running 3 guys out in a pattern and there's only 4 guys out there to begin with to try and defend it, someone's going to be open if you don't get pressure, and you got 3.5 seconds to sit back there. So it was an interesting wrinkle how Central had to really deviate from what they wanted to do and what they had to do, and made it work. But even still, that's still a one possession game if you take away giving the other team 2 touchdowns on defense. So that's again the frustrating part. And yeah, everything's still on the table. Everybody else lost last week too. So
does that make it better or worse? I guess better. I guess it makes it better. Like the negative part of me says, oh, this happens to Miami and you drop the ball. Like, well, no, it's good that we still wanted that to happen too. So I don't know. The standings just aren't as sexy as they could be heading into these two final massive games against former Eastern opponents.
Now it's harder. It's harder to do than just winning every game. And still, to me, the Akron game is more of the problem than this week. And Central's a very good team, and they've got good wins. Akron is not that. They're a much improved team, but that was still a game that was.
Well, we considered losing a possibility in that one, in this one rather, as opposed to the other.
So, but yeah, I mean, it just made it a little bit more tricky and just made these games even bigger. Because if the Bulls beat Central, then you still, I think, with everybody else dropping down to 2 losses, you still have your own destiny, but you still do then get that game back as wiggle room. And that's not the case anymore. They cannot lose any more games and try to go to Detroit. They might win these last 2 and still not get the right combination of other games to go there. But this is what, we've been saying it all year. This is what the MAC is. Ball State plays this weekend with an opportunity to be the 6th team in a 13-team conference to be tied in second place.
Yeah.
That, it's even, man. You better bring it or you're going to lose. And you can't have 5 turnovers.
No.
And they had 5 turnovers.
And they tried to have more.
And even with the 5 turnovers, they had the ball at the 12-yard line with a chance to make it a 1-score game with 11 minutes to go in the fourth quarter.
Right. Yeah, it was completely
everything
under
was
control.
Still fine.
Gonser comes up with that pick, and it's like, okay, there's the play they needed. You were calling for it the whole time. Like, all right, well, maybe the defense needs to give the Bulls the ball again at the 10-yard line. And ultimately, you're negative 4 points on 2 drives, one that starts at the 11, one that starts at the 9. You kick a field goal on the first one. That's the start of the game. And then late in the game, first play goes the other way on a fumble, 85 yards for a touchdown. So rather than 14 points because you started a drive at the 10, you have negative 4 points because you kicked 3, but you gave up 7.
Yeah.
It sucks.
That sucks. That was a tough sequence there. But, all right. You get a weekend here. You get ready. You got Miami coming back. Miami's coming off a loss. They got handled without their quarterback, who I guess had an illness. I don't know how sick you have to be to miss playing a game when you're in a title race against your former team in Toledo. But I guess he must have been that sick and he didn't play. So that's not an injury situation with DeQuan Finn, the former offensive player of the year and a guy that's been to the championship game 2 times in his career already with Toledo. He looks like he's lined up to play against the Bulls this week.
Yeah.
When we first saw it, we were like, ooh.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Maybe
means nothing.
Maybe there's something going on there. Maybe he's gonna. And no, it was just an illness. So,
I will say the one positive thing, even if Ball State does win and get themselves to 4-2, of all of the 4, Western Michigan's at 5-1, and then there would be 6 teams at 4-2. The only one in there that the Bulls have lost to is Central Michigan. That's the good news. They've beaten none of them yet. That's bad news. They have 2 on the schedule. That's good news. Obviously you got to win to get there, and they're still going to play Miami, and they're still going to play Ohio, and those are 2 of the other 5 that are tied in that spot. The problem is if Western pulls away somehow, but they can't pull away if you don't want a head-to-head with with Central. You don't want head-to-head with Central. Let's give a spot to Western right now. You don't want head-to-head with Central. You want it to be a group so that we're talking about how you did in that group. So you got to win your games, and then maybe it gets into it's not just the 2 of you. It's head-to-head in this like little round robin of teams where maybe you can surpass Central Michigan. That's kind of how I'm looking at it right now without pulling out the tiebreakers. You just don't want to be isolated. You don't want to be left alone in a room with Central Michigan because they've got you, because they beat you head-to-head. Everybody else you still have a chance against.
Yeah, Western up top, they've got games at Northern and at Eastern.
Yeah.
Those look to be wins. But, again, you never know.
Yeah, right.
Maybe Northern could put something together and do something. And then Central Michigan ends the year with next week here coming up there at Kent State. That is not as easy a game as they probably expected to be at the start of the year. Probably still a 10-point favorite on the road there.
Yeah, but Kent is feisty.
And then Toledo to end the year. So everything, that's going to be a very hard game. Toledo's still in the running. They dropped those 2 early games, but they've let the pack come back to them. And now they're in the mix as well.
Yeah.
But it's exciting. Again, stinks that they lost. Would have been much easier to just be one of 2 teams there at the top of the table. But instead, you're not. And this is what you got, and it's still fine because everybody else lost as well.
Well, and also, if you are one of those 2 teams, you're still going, doesn't mean anything because you're playing the 2 toughest teams that you're going to face all year, and you still got to get those wins. So you got to get those wins and hope for a little help, which, in a year where we went through 5 consecutive games decided in the final minute, what did we think was going to happen in November? Did we think the Bulls were just suddenly going to pull away and cruise to Detroit? Is that what we thought? Are we that dumb? No, this is what the year is. All right, I want to switch to, did you watch the game last night? Did you watch the Patriots?
I did not, because turned out I was tired.
From what?
I was tired yesterday.
We're sitting there in the 4th quarter the other night, and the Bulls are getting rolled, and we know we still have to sit there. We still have to go through postgame, and then we still have to ride a bus. Then we still have for a long time. Then we have to still sit there and wait forever to get on a plane. Then we still have to fly home. And then once we fly home, you're not home. You still have to drive. And it's the 4th quarter, and you're like, I have to work in 8 hours, and I'm in Michigan.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I felt for you.
Yeah, that was I don't mind losses. It is what it is in this conference. I don't want it, but it really stinks when the amount of mistakes happened and it was a good game and then all of a sudden it's not. And you're like, ooh, there's a lot of travel for me coming up.
Right. If it's a video game, you shut it off and go to bed. Like, you don't even finish the game. You're like, all right, well, this isn't happening, so let's just get on with life. But you can't. You have to play the thing out, and then you have to wait and travel, and then travel, and then travel. And that sucks.
Yeah. The timeouts at the end of the game, I was thinking, man, this is
mean.
These are legitimate minutes. I will not be able to sleep tonight. That we are taking this timeout down 38-19.
Yeah.
With a minute and a half to go. But, I got home at about 5 a.m., got about an hour sleep, up and at 'em, put in a good day's work, and then I was like, I can force myself to stay up longer and watch Jets Patriots.
Yeah.
Or I can just fold this one in for the night.
It was a very similar game.
The second one.
The Jets had a very similar situation to what the Bulls had, in that they were down 10 pretty late in the game, but still plenty of time to score twice, and had the ball at the 10 or 11 yard line and turned it over. They were down 10. That was, punch it in, get a stop. You're okay. And they turned the ball over. And, Justin Fields is their quarterback. Turned the ball over, and that was it. And then the Patriots just put them away. 9-2 is a lot of wins. I'm trying to figure out where I stand on the Patriots with regard to the Bills. The numbers that were coming up on the screen were very frustrating to me about, percentage chance of the 1 seed, percentage chance of winning, because they're all BS. They're all, like, I did a whole rant on this to start the show. I'm losing my mind over it. You can't be 2.5 games up on somebody in football. They've played 2 more games. Everyone's going to play 17, and they play each other again. So that math, just that, like pretending that it's baseball and we can just count the games, doesn't make sense. That said, the Patriots look like a very legitimate threat in the AFC right now, and Drake May looks like a very legitimate quarterback, and Vrabel's got them on track. And I was really hoping for the Patriots' swoon to last longer. I think they're just back, and you have to fight them every year now again.
Well, probably. you're also getting a little bit of a bounce here from a first-year coach. I think in the NFL, unless you're a fully bottom tier team that is like at the very start of a rebuild, when you get a first year head coach, there usually is a bounce. I mean, the Giants, I'm speaking from the Giants perspective.
Sure, Dable was great for 10 minutes.
Dable got in there, and his first year they went to the playoffs. They went 9-7-1. Ben McAdoo took them to the playoffs his first season. You know, if you have some pieces, a new coach usually is able to give you a little bit of a bounce. And I think Vrabel's doing that, and Vrabel's walking into a situation that I think Vrabel's a good coach, combined with the thought that Drake May is farther along than we expected.
Mm-hmm.
And he's being helped out by good coaching. So, 9-2 is more than I would have expected at this stage. If you told me 7-4, I think that would be
right.
a very good spot for them to be in, considering what I thought they were. I still don't think, May is good and he's having a good season. When the lights turn on and it gets real bright, are you still trusting him at this stage of his career and that team as a whole over Mahomes, Allen, Lamar Jackson, Joe Burrow?
Herbert.
No. I mean, Herbert, I've seen melt down and lose a game that they were up by 600 points.
Yeah. To Trevor Lawrence, too.
Right. So I'm like, he's a nice player. But he's nowhere near the upper echelon in that AFC. And that's not even a knock on Herbert. Like,
no, there's
no one in the NFC
there are Hall of Famers,
except for Stafford that could be in that.
There are Hall of Famers that are just dancing on stage every Sunday in the AFC. Like, certainly two of them, and then then you add in Lamar, then you add in Burrow, then you add in Herbert after that, I guess. But yeah,
Lamar's going to the Hall of Fame.
I know that, but I mean guys that put on that kind of performance on a weekly basis, like that you can just expect. I'm watching a Hall of Fame quarterback today. Yeah, Lamar is going to the Hall of Fame. I know that, but I don't still put him in the same. Oh my God, he's going to beat me. He's going to beat me on a play or two. I trust him to give me the ball. And maybe that's just the Bills playing them twice in the playoffs and him turning the ball over in the playoffs and being the reason that the Bills are able to win. Maybe that's my hang up on Lamar. But yeah, I that's what I started thinking about last night watching this, because May looks very, very legit. But will he look like that in a playoff game? So, I mean, the Bills still have to play him in a regular season game, and I expect that he'll at least come into it with the same swagger that he's got right now. But when it's playoff time, that's kind of what I started picturing as playoffs.
I'll add this in. If I'm thinking from a Bills perspective, I would much rather play Drake May. This might sound counterintuitive. I would much rather face Drake May if he's the 1 seed and it had that week off. Because I would love for Drake May to be on a hot streak and then not have to play. And then come in against Josh Allen.
Yep.
Who is statistically possibly the best playoff performing quarterback of all time.
Right.
Okay, yeah, you take the pressure, you take the home game, and we'll see what happens after you have taken a week off of playing. The Patriots getting a 2 seed and playing that 7 seed, unless it's the Chiefs.
Or the Ravens.
Well, I'm even okay there, because if the Ravens get in, it's not going to be because of their defense.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, okay. All right, I gotcha.
Drake May against that defense, I feel, is at least capable of doing something. Drake May having that first round game against a lesser opponent where he can get the playoff vibes off of him.
He's 1-0 in playoffs. He's done it, yeah.
Right. Going into the second round, I think is much more dangerous, him feeling good about himself, than sitting around for a week saying, oh my God, we're the 1 seed. And here comes Mahomes. Here comes Allen. This is real. And I think we've seen it before. Bo Nix last year was probably pretty excited. And then you got to walk on the field and see 17 on the other side and know this is a real thing, man. This is a real thing.
Yeah.
And he didn't play all that well outside of the first drive. So,
You know who we left out of this too, and I know he's at the tail end here, but Rodgers. Like Rodgers being your opponent in week 2 is not ideal either. From a quarterback perspective, if you're just looking at guys I've been watching on TV my entire life win games like this, the guy I've seen win a Super Bowl like that. That's what's waiting for them in round 2 if they're sitting at once. All right, you're making me feel better. You're making me feel better.
Let me ask you this.
Yeah.
Let me ask you this. Do you still feel the same aura coming off of Rodgers?
No.
I don't.
No.
I respect him and I understand him and whatever, but I don't feel the same way about him walking into a stadium on the other side of the field as I did as he was a Packer.
Oh, of course.
When he was a Packer, it was like, oh no, but we're about to play really well for 3.5 quarters, and it's gonna suck because he's still gonna find a way to do it. And he hasn't. I don't know. I feel like he's gonna get a lot of respect and would get a lot of attention, but as an opposing quarterback, I do not feel the same way as if Mahomes or Allen are sitting over on the other side of me. Because for the last 6 years, it has felt like any other team standing in between those two teams meeting is dead.
That's true.
With the exception of one time Joe Burrow got hot. One time. If any other team that was standing in the way of those two teams meeting, it was curtains, man. This is happening.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I hear what you're saying, and especially Rodgers in a Steelers uniform, the Steelers who haven't won a playoff game under Tomlin in ages. I don't know. Yeah. I would welcome having to deal with blocking one guy off the edge and an old man at quarterback.
Right. Hey, I am not in any way predicting anything out of the Steelers or Rodgers. I'm just trying to put myself. I'm just trying to bury Drake May for this year because I feel like they're going to be dealing with him for a while now. And it's going to be Allen and May dueling for that. And that's fine. That's fine. I accept it. But for this year, I need him to go away.
As far as the Steelers are concerned, it's Myron Cope and you. You are the two. They're your boys.
Yeah.
I consider you a Steeler guy now.
That's fine.
All right.
I accept. All right. Is there anything else that you wanted to touch on, or do you want to shut this down? You want to do a pick? You got a pick?
I do have a pick. Yeah, but I'm gonna preface this by this is the first week where I didn't really like any of the picks.
Oh, cool.
So I'm coming in half-hearted here.
Sweet.
I've got a
was your
a
2-star lock,
sign.
2.5-star lock.
I've got a warning game. You want the warning game first?
Yeah.
We've done this every week here the last 4 weeks. After I got suckered into one.
All right, this is a line move type of thing.
Yeah.
All right, hit me.
Bama was favored by 14.5 earlier when the line opened against Oklahoma, and they are now at 6.
Ooh.
So I don't know if
we know
Vegas
anything?
Vegas really loves Oklahoma here or what, but that number has moved down towards OU considerably. That's an interesting warning sign there.
Do you feel like AI should be able to answer a question? It's not even a question. If I just say Alabama, Oklahoma, line move, why? You think it can do anything for us?
Maybe.
All right, we're going to try that. You go on. I'm going to figure out what I can learn about this, and then we'll come back to it.
I'll say I'm not making this my pick, but I'm surprised to see Ball State is a 2.5-point underdog at home against Eastern this week, especially when they have the opportunity to be the 6th team in the tiebreaker for the MAC championship game. And yes, they have had some bad losses this year. They've also got some of the best wins this year in the conference. They won against Ohio earlier this season. So that's interesting. Again, I'm not saying that's a warning. That line hasn't really moved at all, but if I was going to touch that one, I would take the points in Ball State, who I think is a better team than Eastern, unless they know something that I don't as far as injury is concerned there. So I was down to 2 games here to pick. I'm tempted by South Carolina, 19.5-point underdogs at undefeated Texas A&M. That's an 11 o'clock kick in Aggie land. That's that's unusual. That the crowd is going to be there because they're undefeated, but it's not going to be as rowdy as it normally is going to be. This is the game. There's this game and another game against Samford on the schedule before they play Texas, and what will be for probably a trip to the SEC championship game. So the game before the game, and it's not really the game before the game because Samford is an FCS opponent and they're going to kill them no matter what. So is this a peak pass game? I don't know. South Carolina beat them last year, and South Carolina has played some tough games. They've lost close ones. They still have Lenora Sellers. They still have the wide receiver. They're still a decent team despite being 3-6. They've had a lot of hard luck games, and that's a big number, 19.5. To be able to say I can get almost 20 points with Lenora Sellers and a team that has played a bunch of close games this year, intrigued me for an 11 o'clock kick. And I don't deal in the supernatural, but these are the games traditionally that Texas A&M, this is peak hope season for them. And that is exactly when the football gods like to appear in Aggie land.
Fire. Yeah.
Yes. And really, really destroy what they have been building. So that's that. What I'm going to go with
that's
is
not your pick. Okay.
my 2 3/4 star pick of the week.
Ooh, even it's gone up. Good. Line
yeah. That's a late line move. I'm taking Kurt Signetti and the Indiana Hoosiers this week. They are favored by 28.5 points against Wisconsin. Now that might seem like a big number, but
it is a big
Wisconsin.
Number.
Wisconsin's coming off a win last week. They're at 3-6. They're feeling good. If you paid attention to the win last week, their leading passer was their punter on a fake punt. And they won that game, upsetting Washington. These are the games that Indiana puts it on Big Ten opponents. And it's never been said publicly, but I feel very much like Kurt Signetti knows the history of Indiana football and knows how many years did the Hoosiers take a 60-point loss to Ron Dane and company. And now that they have the chance to have the upper hand, look back at their schedule, man. If they're playing Big Ten teams and that other Big Ten team doesn't show up to play, they are not stopping the scoring machine.
I like it.
They are going to put it on there.
Well, you think about Indiana, like in our lifetime, they had that little Antoine Randall L period. And other than that,
their great periods traditionally are 7 wins.
Yeah.
Where you're like, ooh, look at them.
But that's all I remember of Indiana football is the Randall L. Like they were fun for a couple of years. That's it. So yeah, they've been getting stomped by the Wisconsins of the world. And yeah, I could see
for 70 years.
Signetti doesn't seem like a very nice person. Like he seems like the kind of guy who would throttle him if given the opportunity. That's what he does. So all right, I like that. That's fun. I checked on the AI thing about the line move, and AI answered it like you or I would. Like the line moved. Why? Well, I don't know. It could be a number of things. Maybe there's an injury we don't know. And that's basically what AI did. It told me about why lines move. Then I asked it to be more specific, and it's not helping. So nothing. I got nothing out of AI.
So yeah, if you want to do like a half-hearted $10,000 parlay this week,
on the 2 3/4 star pick,
Ball State
followed by the ones that you like less.
Ball State plus 2.5, South Carolina plus 19.5, and Indiana to roll. Now, I think Indiana, especially coming off the game there where they survived at Penn State, I think they're going to be ready to go, and I think Wisconsin stinks, and those are the types of situations that Kurt Signetti really, really likes, especially this season. They have been putting it on teams when the opportunity has arisen, so. I think they're going to do it again. Those are all noon games, I think, too. I think Ball State.
So we'll
Eastern
know early.
is a noon game.
We'll know early how that 2 3/4.
Yeah.
Parlay.
Indiana and A&M are definitely those are noon kicks.
All right. You can't see it, but I want to play R.I.P. Doris, which is my new favorite video available online. I've got it on the screen. There's a DJ, a shirtless DJ at a funeral saying rest in peace, Doris. It's right now on the screen is my face, your cartoon face, and then the shirtless guy DJing. I don't know, his
behind a casket, right?
Right, yeah, he's behind a casket. He's DJing shirtless with headphones on, bobbing his head so hard that his headphones fall off. His name is DJ Aldo, and I hope the audio works because I want people to hear it in addition to seeing it. Rest in fucking peace, Doris! Rest in peace, Doris. And as soon as he yells that, two people get up and leave. Everybody else just kind of sitting there. I don't know what the backstory is on this, but it's fantastic. There's a picture of Doris.
You sent me this, and this is up there with that one DJ that was asked to do a set at the top of the Empire State Building.
I don't know this one.
It was during COVID, and he was doing a set up there, and it was like live streamed, and in the middle of it, he decided to dedicate the set and give a small speech about George Floyd.
Okay.
Yeah, and it was very awkward. It was an awkward moment.
I'm gonna look for that.
Also, where does we haven't talked about this? I don't think on the air, but you and I both share a strong affinity for the recent trend of AI fake chiropractor videos.
They're the best. They're the absolute best.
Where, the videos are out there, the real ones where they like are cracking someone's back and it's like, oh, and you hear the crack. And instead it's AI, and it's like you see a patient and the doctor's like, okay, all right, you're going to feel some pressure. And then all of a sudden you see a large steel I-beam drop from the ceiling and crush the patient through the floor, that type of stuff. That's great. I love all of those. I wish that I had 2 minutes of them a day because they help me survive.
I busted out. No one in my family knew about them, and we were all eating dinner yesterday, and I mentioned something about AI chiropractor videos. I started with, you guys know what a chiropractor is? And I think 2 of the 3 did. Drew doesn't know anything. He knows just football. That's all, in baseball. But I put that one that we first shared on a loop on the table, and we just had that going while eating dinner. So it was David Guetta that was on the roof. And this says 30 seconds. It says David Guetta ends racism.
Yes. Yeah, that's it.
All right. So we're going to check that out after this ad that exists that I don't want to hear. Skip that. Pause that. And yeah, that's him on a roof. Turn the volume up on it. Switch the screen. And here we go. Oh, you can make a donation at the time on davidguetta.com/donate. All right, let's hear what David Guetta had to say on the roof.
Is in honor of George Floyd. And I really hope we can see more unity and more peace when already things are so difficult. So, shout out to his family.
Yeah. That's
so
right.
Stupid.
Yeah, it's shout out to George Floyd's family.
That's the new Bye Felicia.
Rest in peace, Doris.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The full version. Oh, that's good. That's so good. All right. Thank you, Scott. Thanks for joining the show. I appreciate it.
All right. Thank you.
We'll talk to you soon. We'll talk to you Monday. There's Scott Wilson. He's our football correspondent, our Hallmark correspondent. We didn't talk about the Bills Hallmark thing. There's a party in East Aurora celebrating the release of the movie. I don't know when does it air? When does that thing air? Should look into that. I'll do that. I'm going to take a quick break. It's 11:47. All right. Yeah, I'm going to take a quick break and find out what's going on with the Hallmark movie because we're going to need that. We're going to need that knowledge, man. Got to know what's going on. And right now, I don't know what's going on. That was Scott Wilson. Thanks to Scott. Rest in peace, Doris.
in fucking peace, the rant. Rest in fucking peace, the rant.
All right, we've already passed noon. I got other stuff to do. But I do need to mention this Bills Hallmark movie, because we talk about football, we talk about Hallmark, when our worlds collide. And this is going to be a big week, because it debuts for real on the Hallmark Channel Saturday, next Saturday, not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. The Hallmark movie comes, it goes live. We're going live. Trying to do something different here. I can't believe I'm saying this. I need more monitors. They don't have enough monitors. That didn't work. How do I shrink that? There we go. All right. Excitement and fake snow are in the air at East Aurora, for the premiere of Hallmark's Buffalo Bills movie. Thousands went to the premiere to catch a glimpse of the cast of Holiday Touchdown, a Bills love story. They also got to see the film's crew and some of the Bills. I caught this on I wasn't watching the news, but I walked into the room while the news was on last night, and it was clearly this. There was something with 42 North, the brewery. I remember reading this, that East Aurora had obtained a permit. Well, I don't need this music anymore. East Aurora had obtained a permit to have, I think it was so you could walk with your beer from the movie from the brewery to the movie. Regardless, I knew this was happening. I knew there was a East Aurora premiere of the movie. The film is a romantic comedy themed around the Buffalo Bills and even stars players such as Damar Hamlin. The movie also stars two people I've never heard of, Holland Roden and Matthew Daddario. No knock on them. I just don't know who they are. It also stars Joe Pantoliano, or a.k.a. Joey Pants, who's in one of my favorite movies of all time. Can you guess which one? He's in a bunch, but the one that really stands out is Memento. Memento is one of the 10 movies that when I'm watching it, I think, hey, this might be the best movie I've ever seen. And I haven't seen it. It's probably been a year since I've watched it. I should watch that one again soon. This wasn't the first holiday rom-com the Hallmark Channel centered on an NFL team. They also released a Holiday Touchdown, a Chiefs love story. This was also the first official Hallmark movie to be filmed in East Aurora. I don't know what it takes to be an official Hallmark movie. I think either you are or you're not. It airs on the Hallmark Channel Saturday, November 22nd, and will stream on Hallmark Plus. Do people have Hallmark Plus? Can you imagine if Hallmark wasn't enough for you? No, I need more Hallmark. Every movie is exactly the same, but I need more of them. That's crazy. Hallmark Plus. Bring back cable. All right, I think I'm done. We got enough in. Can wrap it up. Thanks for listening. Thanks for sitting through the technical problems at the beginning of the show when we couldn't get on the air for 20 minutes. But we got it. We're going to get all this resolved by Monday, and everything will be fine when we hit episode 211. Lots of stuff in the works. Stay tuned to hear about some massive events coming up. Massive change. I don't know about changes. We'll see. But we're still building and growing and changing what Writer Radio is and can be. I'm not even promising that the name is going to stay the same. A lot of things are on the table right now. So stick around. Thanks for being with me. Thanks for sharing, liking, following, subscribe. Do that. Subscribe on YouTube. Subscribe on Spotify. That helps a ton. Even if you're not going to tune in every day. I don't expect you to tune in every day. I just want you to click a thing that says you subscribe so that the numbers grow and that puts it in front of more people. And then when I do have this big thing that happens, it just helps. If you're finding the show and listening to the show or watching the show, whether you're doing it live or on the podcast version, whether that's through Mixler or Spotify or Apple or anything, wherever it is. Like and subscribe in addition to watching. It really helps. And then when you see something that gets posted, don't just like it or look at it. Share it. Share. That's what I need. I can't share. I'm only one person. So if you like the show enough that you want it to exist, just do that and help spread it. All right? That's all I ask. Thank you. I appreciate every single one of you for being a part of it. And we're going to shut it down. I'm just going to shut it down now. I'm not going to play any more music. Played enough music. Should I play one more song? I don't have another song I want to play. No, I'm just going to end the show. Thank you for listening, joining me. And I'll be back with you Monday for episode 211 of Writer Radio, where Scott Wilson will join us, because we just have Scott on all the time. He makes the show better. I like it better when Scott's here, so we have him on constantly. I don't know how much his employers appreciate it. But, hey, he hasn't said no, so we're just going to keep rolling with it. All right, that's it. Goodbye. Nope, not yet. Here.
What are you doing for lunch?
I don't know. I have a turkey sandwich.
We're gonna go around the corner. I think you should come with us. This is a great place.
Okay.
We brought you a shirt.
Will you get out of here? Will you get out of here? Will you? Now, will you go to lunch? Go to lunch. Will you go to lunch?